Hi friends, my name is Megan and welcome to episode 89 of a Naughty Mess Knitting podcast. All right, we've got some stuff to talk about. As you can see, I am shocked by this development, but I am wearing a newly finished object. And then over top, this is actually just a commercial cardigan. I need to make myself a black cardigan. I have 1,000 other projects and I don't have yarn for a black cardigan. So maybe not this year. This one is a little kind of one I got, I don't know, like 8 years ago. I've had it forever. And it's still great. It's a little bit of a shawl collar and I don't think I would make it this style, but I do like to have a black cardigan in the wardrobe. I will likely just wear this outfit to work today. It is early in the morning. It is April 17th. We've got these things to discuss. I've got some finished yarn. I've got a new cast on. Let's hit it. So welcome to anybody who's new here. Sorry, that was a weird intro. My name is Megan. I am a mostly knitter, but sometimes crocheter and once a week cross stitcher and spinner. I live in the Pacific Northwest, just north of Seattle with my husband Mike, our daughter Theo, our dog Winter, and my mom Cindy. And we have the normal podcast things to go through. I say normal podcasts. There are podcasters that do a lot of different things. I kind of follow the FOs, spinning updates, whips, books. I always talk about books. And I always have chapters at the bottom, so feel free to skip and come back and whatever you would like to do. And then I have like topics of the week or whatever. This week is a light topic week because also I'm a little bit pressed for time and I will be pressed for editing time. So we can talk about that at the end. So let's go forward. I have, as I said, a new finished object, which is what I'm wearing. So last week I shared the back panel of this. Surprise, it's done. I'll stand up and I'll give you all the things, but I was really jazzed to get this done. So on Thursday night, I think after editing, I like picked up and did the shoulders, which were just so quick because there's really not that many stitches here. And then I did the almost to joining the body. And then on Friday night, I met up with Claire Jackson, who is Perfectly Knotted. Sorry, this is the Staple Tank by Claire Jackson, who's Perfectly Knotted. But I met up with her and Coley from Paisley Knits and Jess from Witchfire Fibers. They were in town because Jess was teaching a class and they're all friends, and they got a hotel in Seattle, and I went down for dinner also to pick up the remaining yarn for Jess's sample, which I did not finish this week. Yeah, anyway, so it was really nice. I got to hang out with them for a while, but I was like talking to Claire about this. I was like, I'm pretty jazzed. I think I'm just going to get through like the thing that I stopped right before joining because I knew right after joining I'd have to figure out my vertical and horizontal bust dart math. So let's talk about that when we get once I stand up. I think you'll be able to see it a little bit, but Claire provides you with a link to a pretty long blog post, and it's long on purpose. It talks a lot about sort of pitfalls of bust darts, things to look for, and how to measure your body so that they are placed in the right position because everybody's chest is different. Okay, so it's an article, but it does give you the math. So then you have the little math formula to figure that out. Then she gives you the math formula within the pattern to do the vertical bust darts. You don't need to do horizontal bust darts. Typically, I think the answer is like if you have more than 3 inches of difference between your upper bust and your full bust, then you may want to do the bust darts because you will get that sort of that pull up just because there's more tissue. And I think this also is relevant to like how wide your stomach is. So if your full bust and your like torso, your stomach are about the same, or there's not a lot of like curve under, then you may not need to do them either. There's little things, and so in the article. So then, but the formula and in her pattern, I think she just rearranged them a little bit, is just so it's more clear because she had instructions to go to that. But then the vertical, but you do the vertical bust darts, and then you do the horizontal. She gives you the math for the vertical. You do the horizontal, and then you do waist shaping. So that's a lot of stuff. So I finished right before the join on Thursday night, and then I met with Coley and Claire and Jess on Friday night, and then on Saturday, and I didn't really get much knitting done. I think when I got home I might have joined and done the neckline, and then I was tired and I went to bed, and then in the morning I woke up pre-baby and I picked up the armholes. I only did it in this order because I wanted to be able to try it on. So Claire's instructions are, you can either just like do the math between your upper bust where the armpit line hits basically and your full bust, and then figure out how many vertical increases you need for your vertical dart, or just increases you need for your vertical dart. Or you can do an inch or two, and this is also sort of the suggestion in the long article, then do your figure out so you really know where it's hitting. I did an inch, and then I figured it out, and I also knew that I didn't want them to be too spread out because of how like low my chest sits. So I did them slightly more rapid. I mean, it was like every other row I did an increase, and then I did the horizontal bust darts. I think I did all of that math and stuff during baby nap on Saturday, and then I did the waist increases a little bit while she was awake and we were hanging out on Saturday afternoon, and then I did the rest of it like Saturday night. And I kept meaning to pick up another project, but I was just like, oh, just one more decrease, oh well, just a little bit more, oh I meant the hem, and then I was done. So shall we look at it? So my belly button is here. My natural waist is, you know, kind of just above that or right at that. So this is a like just a tad longer than that. And yeah. Okay, I will take my sweater off so you can see. So here's the back of it, and then the front. There's a lot of hair negotiating going on here, but you can see sort of like how the neckline sits. All right, you guys got a quick glimpse of the arms out, but that's not my thing, so we're gonna just keep this on and talk about it more. So you can see the shoulder line though. It sits like a high neck tank top. I did not do any helical knitting, so there's a little bit of color pulling, and there's like a little bit of difference in the last skein. You can see it's like a little purplier, but also I don't care. And I think it looks fine. So here you can kind of see all of the shaping. So I did my my like inch or so before doing increases. Here you can see my increase line, and that's my vertical dart, which does end right about my full bust. And then I've got a section here which you can see a little bit, like right here. This is my horizontal bust dart, and then right under that we have the triangle back down to my to like the, basically this is like a triangle, and if you lay it flat, it truly does look like a little triangle that pops out, like if you like lay the whole thing very flat. And my front does have like a front curve because I've got those, like if you're laying it flat, because I've got extra, you know, stitches here. Anyway, so this part here is the decreases of the vertical dart, and then just under that you're moving your decreases back just a tad, like 2 stitches, and they're just at the BOR and other side. And then I did those. Actually, Claire does an interesting thing. Instead of doing 4 stitches at once with a decrease on either side of the marker, you do front decreases and then you do back decreases a couple rows later, and then front decreases and then back decreases, sort of like depending on what your math says for the full decrease. For me, it was not a lot of rows between, so I did some front pair, and then I did a back pair, then I did a front pair. So I should have 1 extra decrease on the front that's not on the back, which is fine, and that makes it allows you to do like a little bit more freedom. You can do it by 2s instead of 4s. I probably could have decreased a little bit more just because I wanted negative ease. Well, I had this debate. I didn't want to have this very tight to me. I didn't want to have a ton of negative ease down here, right? But I have about 4 inches of negative ease. I think this is a 3-ish inches of negative ease here that goes throughout, because you do the same math to like figure out what your negative ease will be here. And then I just have a little less here. This is like 1 inch to none, more because I didn't want to have the decreases every row or whatever, or like I didn't want it to be too dramatic, right? So I kept what about the ease at the underbust was going to be just throughout. So that's my spiel on this. It went super fast. The gauge on this is like 19 stitches. So, and I did this on a 4.5 millimeter needle. The ribbing was all in a 4 millimeter needle. I have some measurements I need to get into Ravelry, but they'll be done by the time this episode goes up. And get my notes in and stuff, because I will also take pictures today. So I did do some measurements. So the dip from the back of the neck to the front is 4 inches here. I didn't actually do my armpit measurement, but I think so. My whole measurement is like 21.5 inches, the whole body to the hem, and my underarm to the hem is 14. It was either 13.5 or 14. And then, so that makes, you know, this part, let's call it 7.5, which doesn't seem very deep, but it doesn't sit all the way. Like, I have some space there to like the deep part of my armpit, but it does sit right under, like, you know, where I shave, like that whole area of my armpit, it sits right in there, which I think is like the appropriate place for a tank top. It doesn't show any of my bra line there. It's comfortable. It doesn't feel like it's squeezing me, but it also doesn't feel like baggy or weird. So that was really good shaping for me. It's cozy. It is made with, again, I talked about this and I have skeins left over. It is made with this yarn, which is, this is a little bit of a purplier skein too. And these don't have like dye lots because these are kettle dyed, but this is Malabrigo. The color is Cumparista. It is the Silky Merino, which is 51% silk, 49% merino, 150 yards for 50 grams. It did bloom really nicely. Like, it doesn't necessarily fill in all the space or whatever, but it does have like, it did like open up a little bit. So, and my gauge was spot on. Actually, my row gauge too. So I think that's why it's like such a good fit here. I did add one extra, and she does tell you if you think you need it, you can add a little bit. I added one extra repeat, so 2 rows right before the back armpit shaping, which means I had to add it way up here before the armhole shaping in the front. It was like right after the neckline. She tells you where to do it, where to match the two. Let's see, what else do I have to say? Nothing. I love it. I think it's great. Okay, so I guess let's do the quick review. Would I make it again? Yes, absolutely. I'm probably gonna make another one this summer, actually. I don't know. I feel like this is the kind of the perfect tank top. And I will maybe want to do like a fully tonal one in a color that would go under one of my like hand knit cardigans, because that's like a great spring outfit for me. So yes, I think I will. Actually, I have more yarn on my cone. If that's enough yardage to hold it double, I may use my cone yarn to do another matching tank top to my calm down cardigan, because I basically want to wear that all the time. Anyway, so I'll do it again. I'll do it. I would do this also, like I would wear this on its own, even though I don't do that a ton, but like I do that around my family or whatever. I would wear this on its own in another silky, like summery blend. I feel like you could do this really easily, even with the negative ease and like a pure silk. So that could be a fun thing. Anyway, I will, yes, make it again. I really enjoyed the making process, both because there's enough going on that even though it's just a stockinette knit, because shaping happens pretty quickly, I felt like it was like very much like a potato chip thing that you're like, well, I just want to do the next thing. I just want to do the next little step. And then this yarn. This is my first time using this yarn. I have some more of this, but not a lot. And I have this similar, like you can see this blend, or this, a bunch of this here, which I've talked about before, and I don't know exactly what project I'll use it in. And I bought it a long time ago from D-Stash, but this is the Manos del Uruguay silk blend, which is the same, I think it's the exact same blend. No, this is 70% merino, 30% silk, but it's the same yardage and everything, and it feels very similar. It's also a single. So things to note. I will use that eventually. And I will use it eventually. Would I buy more of this yarn? Maybe not. I don't know. I'm not a huge singles person. It does feel really nice. And this like silkiness, like it feels nice and silky. It's pretty shiny. And I enjoyed knitting with it. It wasn't really splitty, but there were like a lot of there are these like bloopy pieces that like you kind of have to like peel off, and they're like spun a little bit into some of it. So I just like, not spit splice, but I like rolled it a little bit with some spit so that it wouldn't like come apart, but I could take that piece out so that it didn't have like a weird, yeah, bloop. So this, it feels smoother than if I left all of those in. And there were a bunch of them, like probably took off 30 or 40 of them while I was knitting. So there's information for you. I don't know. Let's go on to spinning. So I have 2 washed and not quite dry hanks here, and this is the final one of my spin that I was working on. So I got quite a lot done. I got 3 singles finished, and then these all plied up. I do have a little bit left over, but it's really not very much, and I'll put that onto my kind of monster bobbin. These both did bleed a little bit, but they didn't like transfer at all. Like it's still as light as it was just during the washing process, but they washed. I rinsed them with cold water right after. Like I let them soak, and I just let them soak in the pink water. And then I rinsed them with cold water after, and they like, it ran clear right away. So I wonder if there's just like, because this is tencel, like if the tencel didn't hold as much of the color, and like that, some of that just washed out. So these are merino tencel, right? But those hanks I'm not gonna play with too much because they're not really wet, but they're pretty damp. So these are my 2 finished skeins from last week. So these are fully dry and skeined up for you, and they are just so beautiful. It's a really pretty color. It's very pleasantly more purple than I thought it was going to be, because yeah, there was like a deep purple in that second one, but it felt bluer. But because of the way that it's just playing with that like pinky color, and yeah, anyway, they look pretty purple. So I'm gonna make this into something. I don't know what. It's quite a lot of yardage. It's mostly fingering weight, though my last skein felt a little bit plumper, so that's fine too. So we'll see what I do with it. I will let those dry. I'll sit on it, and I'll see if some great ideas come to me. I will do, once they're all dry, I will calculate a little bit of what my potential yardage is, which I take by number of strands per skein, because I have a 60-inch nitty knotty, and then I imagine, and this is not proven yet, but I imagine I have some loss once it dries, and also because there's a lot of tension on the nitty knotty when you take it off. So I usually do like 8% less, which is like a random number, but that's just what I've decided to try. I have a yardage counter. So once I put in a potential yardage, and then when I actually do the yardage counter, I just started doing this. So I will, on my yarn fiber tracker, I will put then in what the actual yardage is, and I'll figure out this year about how different it is over, more skeins than the like 2 I've done so far. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Coming along beautifully, done. I mean, we're done, but the drying is coming along nicely. So I don't know what I'm going to work on next. You can see my new paisley orders in here, and it's very beautiful, and it's been making me happy at work all week. I don't know. I am sort of not like torn. I'm going to be away this weekend. My mom is home with the dog, but me, Mike, and Theo are going down to visit one of my really good friends in Portland. And I'm not going to take my wheel, obviously. So I can sit on it for a couple of days. I don't know. I'm not really sure. Yeah, I'm going to sit on it. I'm going to dream this week and see if something comes to me that I really want to work on. Okay. And I also would like to maybe continue to spin, but I got a little bit excited about this last spin. And not that I don't want to stay excited, but I want to maybe do a little less spinning per day, because sometimes I come in here after baby's down and I'll spin for a little while, and I want to knit a little bit more because I have a lot of knitting things that I'm excited about. So I may just do 15 or 20 minutes like in the morning or whatever, and keep that as a much less output also until Tour de Fleece starts, or like maybe not that long, but like maybe for a month. So We'll see. I'm doing really well in my spinning goal for the year, so I'm definitely not worried about that. Oh, I forgot. Wow. I have another finished object this week. So I totally forgot that I finished my socks. These are my fully finished. I think I had the foot to finish. It wasn't a lot. Like I had finished now you can really see that they're off the needles. Oop. How it like cinches in this part here. So I had finished this sort of arch support part, and then I just had a little bit of the foot and the toe to do. So I got both of them most of the way. And then when I decided, I just did one toe and then I did the other toe. And that was like, I didn't want to go back and forth, right? So, and that went really fast. I don't even know when I finished these. Maybe Sunday. Yeah, I don't know. But they are done. They're cute. This is my blue one and this is my orange one. I think once I got into the toe area, like they look a little bit more similar. It's really just like here. I mean, I don't know. It felt like all the way through, but like, yeah, this is still bluer than this, but not by a ton. So these are done. These, again, I am doing a year of stash socks for Mike's family. I do have my own family members I can make socks for. My mom's actually going to be in that list too. She's gotten socks for me before, mostly like I made them too big or I made like weird ones I didn't want. And our shoe sizes she's like a whole size bigger than me, but I like, you know, I've gifted them to her before. So I have done Mike's mom and sister-in-law, and then this year I did a pair for me, and then so this is his older brother, and so his older brother and his wife are done. And then I'm now going to cast on. Okay, and so by the way, sorry, this is Summerlee Comfort sock set View A. Fully, I didn't really do any changes other than the View A for her has like the athletic tube socky like stripes, the two like equal stripes with like an equal space in between. Anyway, really cute on her, but toe and heel also are in the main yarn. I'm gonna do View, I think it's C is the next one that I'll do. And that has a 1x1 cuff and then some stripes and then stockinette leg, and it'll be about this length and everything. I just don't feel like doing 2x2 rib right now in the socks, so they won't be exactly matching, but also because I have a mini skein for this, so my needles are even in here, they're ready. I don't know if I'll take these to Portland, maybe, but this is a long dog yarn set. This is called Lettuce Sea Slug, and this is from the Sea and Sky Club in June 2020. I got this from Sylvan. I think from like a yarn swap. I think it was our last yarn swap in October. I got this yarn from Sylvan. And so I have this beautiful, little purple guy. And so Mitch decided on this sock set, this is Mike's younger brother, and he loves some funky colors. I'm going to do the purple stripes and then see where I am. And I might do the toe in purple too, just depends. But I did use quite a lot of this skein. Like I used a full 100 grams on these socks, and I had a little overage from the skein. So like I have, I think 9 grams left or something like that, 10. So because I'll have the mini here, I'll have a little bit further to go. This mini, I think in a dude sock would not get you stripes, a heel and a toe, but it might get you stripes and toes. So that would be fun. That'd be like the easiest thing to sub, I think, just like in the pattern. But I mean, heels too, but I think toes. Anyway, we'll see how I'm feeling about it. But these are done. They're going to go into, these are all going in a bag. I actually do have to take pictures of these, but I put my notes into Ravelry, so I just got to do that this week. And then I'll cast on. I will cast on well before April's over. And obviously it's already like the 17th or something like that. So I think I already said that in the beginning of the episode, but I confirmed it's the 17th. I will cast these on probably before I leave. It's just whether or not I take them. And if I don't cast them on before I leave, then I'll cast them on Monday. I do want to get them started with a whole week of the month left, because they took me a good 3 weeks to finish, and I've got a couple of sweaters I'm more excited about right now than I did even have on my needles in the beginning of March or in the beginning of April. So anyway, I'm going to get May done early too. Just because I can, because I would like to, or I give myself a little bit more time, then I have 5 whole weeks to finish them or whatever. So let's talk about the next whip. Sorry, reminder for there, even though I flashed it up already before, is that's a size XL, which is 80 stitches. It's a 10-inch ball of foot, 2mm needles, Graphic Dye Works, Step and Repeat, and Tiger Belly, which is a 75/25 superwash nylon blend. So let's talk about, I'm going to skip checker plate, because even though I got that yarn and I did wind it on like Sunday morning, I did not pick up any of that sweater. My intention is probably to finish it this coming week. I only had like a little bit, a couple inches, and then the hems, but split hems are like split hems. So I think I would like to get that off my needles. I have a couple more things I want to cast on. So before at least one of my cast-ons, I don't know which one. I might cast on something and then do that. Who knows? We'll see. The next thing to talk about is, my book club cardigan. Let me show you the progress I've made there. Quite a lot, actually. Last week I showed it to you and I was still on my back panel, and I moved this down to where I actually ended last week. And I had a couple more increases, like really just a few. So you can see that's almost in line with the end of my increases. And then I had to do 3.5 inches flat, which this is 3.5 inches, and it's not a lot of rows. Like, again, I told you, it's a lot of chart reading, and it was a lot of like also just instruction reading across this piece here. And so it just took me a little while to get that to want to do that part. I decided not to do my normal pin them together, which is what I normally do, is I just put a little stitch marker through there. But because I wanted to keep them open while I was like looking at this. So I did my pickup for my right front, and here you can kind of, let's see. The matchup is pretty good. It's not exact, but also it's a little bit hard because like you're picking up along, the edge of this, and yeah, I did actually, so I picked up, I did 3 rows and I ripped out and redid it. I was 1 stitch off center that I knew would make a difference, and it totally did. And I think this looks really good. Like these lines here are probably the most obvious ones. They look like they almost match. This one feels a little bit more inside just because of the way it is. But again, your back panel is knit on a slope, so it's never going to match exactly. You're not doing 2 flat things together. And I think this is a pretty decent looking matchup. Like even these are off a tiny bit, but like honestly, I'm not going to care. It is on your back. You will see both of them together on your back, but it's not like, I got a lot of hair. I'm not going to be staring at it a ton. I think it looks nice enough. So let's talk about it. And so let's talk about this front part a little bit. I picked up, there is a modified piece, obviously. Let's go back. On Ravelry, her name is Neat and Pearl. On, her name is Elle, but on, that's her Ravelry username. And on Instagram, she's Super Craft Delicious. So there's a person, these are her mods for the most part. So and the main mod is this piece here, this braid. The braids that match up along the armhole. So like I said before, this armhole, like this is also not in Sari's pattern. This is a book club cardigan by Sari Nordland, heavy mods by Neat and Pearl. And so they'll meet up. These two will meet up to do another of these horseshoe kind of braids under the arm. So you do have to pay attention. Like she kind of just says, do the braid in her instructions. And I had to really think about when I was writing out instructions for the group, because I wrote out like an Excel sheet for us. There's all of the instructions with the mod, so we didn't have to go between her mod sheet and the actual pattern all the way through to pockets. And then I just like button band, everyone's gonna be able to do that part on their own. And sleeves. I did write a little bit of the sleeves out, maybe all of the sleeves out with a note. So Yeah. I think it looks so great for my size. If you watch Ariel's podcast, she did an extra mod on top of the mod. And that's only because in the way that Abbye wrote her instructions, she did like a size 3. So there were some moss stitches she picked up, but she basically kept, because you pick up 1 for 1 along the increase line. So I have stitch markers on this side, you can see. 1 here, which is your first stitch, and 1 here, which is your last increase row, or the row after your last increase row even, I think. And then you're supposed to pick up along that line and just 1 for 1. And that's the math. And that is like the number of your pickup stitches. Well, because of Ariel's size, that's just big enough for the chart plus the braid. And so she lost all her moss stitches. So she decided to just pick up a couple extras within and I think she picked up a little further along her line even maybe to just fit those in. And like, Abbye even said this. I had chatted with her. I was like, size 1 doesn't have any room for this. And she was like, oh, I would just skip it then. And I was like, do you think that'll look fine? She goes, I really don't know. And I was like, well, I don't know either. We don't have testers for it. So Ariel's the tester for the mod. And so she modded the mod. Sylvan did not actually. And they both made a size 1. And I think just preference wise, like they just did not make the same change, which is fine. Right. And so they'll even look a little bit different, but all the other sizes, you can at least fit in some of this moss stitch. So even though it's not as much as is on the back, you know, by 6 rows or whatever. Yeah, because that's where you're adding in the braid. Or I'm sorry, by 6 stitches. So anyway, this is what it looks like. I think it's really gorgeous. This yarn is just like, it's picking up on camera really beautiful. In person, it does look that nice, but like, I think on camera it looks better. So yes, I am only probably halfway through the front or so. I think I need it to be like 12 inches. There's no way this is more than 6. So I'm maybe not even halfway through, but I did start the inside edge increases for the neckline, and you're just kind of you're just creating some moss stitch here too that will be incorporated into the rest of the body. And yeah, I think I have like, gosh, I think I had to do a total of 6 and I've got 3 done. So half of that. And then you have to do a little bit just to get to your measurements, but I would imagine that it's not a lot extra because you join the body like just after the last increase. Under the sleeve arms. So yes, looking good. Oh, but I also ended because I ended my first ball of yarn. I thought this got me like really far. Like I kept being like, oh, this will be over so soon. Oh, I have 1 more row to do, 1 more row. And I got like so much of this done. So I'll definitely be able to finish the whole of the left side, finish the right side, and probably join before my second ball runs out, which is great. And then I will just keep going. I only have 6 balls of this, and there were a lot of people that said that the yardage estimates were off. I think some of those people also made mods like to the sleeves. They picked up larger sleeves because the sleeves seem to have a rather small circumference for the size and just like to pick up a reasonable number of stitches around how many rows there are. So we'll see how I feel. I am planning to pick up at least 1 size bigger for the sleeves just based on measurements. But I might do 2. And again, this is size 4. I'm a slightly larger gauge than the project, but I didn't want the fabric to be any different than this just because this is a woolen spun. I want to give it nice space, and this is what felt comfortable. I am using a 4mm needle. What else do you need to know? I think that's it. So yeah, definitely all the credit to Abbye for the mods. And I mean, the charts are really beautiful from Sorry, but also like I changed all the charts. So not only did we add this chart in, but I changed the, you can see it now really on the back so that they are mirrored because there's only 2. The pullover is a different story because there's 3. I would probably do them all the same direction, but these are mirrored. And then the moss stitch inside, like the whole chart is mirrored. And then the moss stitch on either side is mirrored too. So that, and not that that really matters. You can't really tell a difference, but you know, my project loving brain wanted to do that. And I'm going to do the same for both of the moss stitch sections on that side, the other side too. So you have to think about the start a little bit, but as soon as you get past that like initial part, initial moss stitch rows, initial like very first pickup row, a new stitch, then it's pretty easy flying. So yes, I don't know that I'll take this to Portland because this does require kind of a lot of thought still. So I might just work on this next week. So I might not get that much done next week because losing a whole weekend is a lot, but I will keep working on it. I would like to get this done before like the dead of summer. So I want to get done soonish. This is a friend knit. So half of Pacific Knit West is doing this. And so like me, Maya, Katie, Selvin, Ariel. I think that's it. So it's going to be really fun to get a picture together. Sylvan's done? ? She just had sleeves to work on. So we'll be done soon. I know Maya was trucking along. Ariel's joined in body. So I'm behind, but I think Katie's not much further than me. Like she's maybe done both of her fronts, but not joined in the body, or maybe she's joined the body also. Anyway, I am the furthest behind. I do know that, but I will catch up soonish. One could hope. So maybe not this week, but next week I shall get a lot done. Okay, let's move on to my next whip, which is a test knit. I've gotten quite far on this. This is my flower child. Every time I hold it up, I can't wait to block and steam it. Abbye and Selena did put in the instructions, you should steam or block your yoke to make sure it fits well. I did not. I stand by that decision. I'm okay with it just because I've done 2 circular yokes recently where I know approximately the fit I want for this, etc., etc. That it's just so gorgeous though. Like this, once it lays flat like this and that opens just a little bit. Oh, I love it. I think it's like maybe one of the more beautiful things. I have a really flippy collar, but they have a pretty good solution for this. And actually I've never thought of doing this before. And I hope I'll use a similar colored yarn if I run out of this yarn entirely and don't have any left over. But you basically just do a running stitch along and it just cinches it in a tiny bit and it just pulls your picot up. That's all. Just because it's a picot edge. So, and especially the back, I think flips more than the front. So yes, I will do that after I'm done. I did do the sleeves though, and I did not make them as long as my salty air tee. And I knew that because I don't have a lot of yarn, and I'm gonna run out anyway, but I didn't want to take a ton from one of my friends because they did offer to give me some. I also thought I like where the salty air sleeves fit on that, but this is all merino, so a slightly shorter sleeve is fine for me. I actually you guys, I went a little bit rogue. I did ask Abbye and Selena and they said it was fine just to keep track of. So I know exactly how many grams it took to do from pickup to the first, well, it was like my last row before the bind off, because that's approximately what's the difference, right? I didn't do any decreases. I did then do, this is a twisted rib and looks really gorgeous. I cast off in sewn bind off, like a tubular bind off. I what was I going to tell you? Oh, what I did is I tried it on without any sleeve. I kind of measured, and then I just decided I was going to do like 1.5 inches, 1 3/4, just where it felt okay. And then start the bind off and not try it on again. And I did both sleeves and then I tried it on after. So I was really hoping I would like where they are. It's great. It's perfect. They go a little bit like, mid bicep rather than all the way down to my elbow or close to my elbow. So, and that's perfect for me. And then I got back to the body. I did not do any more decreases. I did a total of 4, just because my gauge was like very slightly off and I didn't want to change needle size. And just to keep it so that it fits and drapes nicely, but doesn't feel too boxy underneath of my, under my bust. Which when I tried this on with the sleeves, that felt like the right place to, like, I didn't need any more decreases. And so then I added body after that. So for here is my marker, and I only have not a lot. I didn't weigh it, but not a lot of yarn left. So I will just go until I run out. I will take this with me to Portland. I'll do it today. I'll do a two 2 or 3 rounds and weigh each round to give myself a good average of how much grams per round. Then when I'm really fully run out, I can do the math of, okay, well, I think I need 10 more rounds or whatever, plus the edging, which let's give us at least that same amount, if not a little bit more, plus the bind off. And that is how much I'm going to request from my friends. So that I don't just request like, oh, I need 20 grams and let's say I only need 12. Because I don't want to have to, I mean, I can give it back to them obviously, but I don't want a bunch of extra cut ends for everybody. So we'll do until we think it's good. I also, you know, want to match the bind offs, but like if you're 1 row off the bind off, like that's, I mean, like of the ribbing, it's fine. That's also going to be a twisted rib at the bottom. So that's my flower tiled. As a reminder, I'm doing size 5, which is 46 inches across the bust. It is supposed to have like 2 to 6 or 2 to 4 positive inches. I don't know. That's going to be up here on the screen. And this is really bad because I put all this on the screen and I never put this in the tracker. So tonight I really need to copy and paste that in, and I just did not do it. Anywho, I am using a 3.25 millimeter needle for everything other than the picot edge. I did a 3. No, I did the twisted rib with a 3.25 also. And it doesn't mention going down a needle size with twisted rib. And often you'll find that because it is already tighter because you're twisting a stitch. So I, didn't go down a needle size for that. But I did for the picot edging, I did a 3 millimeter, which I know is not a common size, not as common of size, but I do own a 3 millimeter needle. So yes, and I'm using Denali sock from Explore Knits and Fibers, which is an 80/20 superwash merino nylon mix. It's 400 yards for 100 grams. It's a 2-ply, and it is in the color Fantasy from the Solstice collection. Lucky for me, I have friends that have more of that because we got 5 boxes between us, and I think somebody bought that color at the pop-up. So on at La Mercerie, they don't have any more at La Mercerie. I did check to see if I could buy some there, even though I only need a little bit. But Sylvan was like, someone's got you covered. So I think actually all 3 of us, or all 4 of us who went through the boxes, have at least one skein of this. So we'll see. The next thing I want to talk about is a new cast on. I put this in the Discord yesterday for Whip Wednesday, and I just had the color done, or mostly done. And I asked if anybody knew what I was going to be making. And like, I think Valerie mentioned like, oh man, I can't remember you're making that yarn. Nobody else guessed. And so I shall tell you. It is a new, but I teased the cast on in the Discord. But this is a brand new cast on in some really lovely yarn. It will be a 2-color project. Can you pause and guess? Anybody? This is going to be my coloring book, Raglan. This is on my Make 9. I did want to get my sea glass started on my Make 9, and I did skip the queue, but only because I was not going to bring that project to Portland. And while I could just do socks in the car, that's more annoying to me. I wanted something I could truly just be in the round. I do have increases for this, and I probably won't finish them, though I'm going to do my best to finish them tonight. And then I do have some stripe stuff. So it's like, I don't know that this is actually the best car project, but it's better than something where I have to look down a bunch, because I do get motion sickness. So, and I don't honestly have to knit that much going down, but it would be nice if I could get like an hour in of knitting. So this will be the one I try to work on in the car. And I'm, resilient enough that if I decide that this is going to make me feel sick, I can just sit there and, listen to music with Mike or whatever. But this is going really well. This is a pattern by Aimee Sher. This is a pattern that came out 2 years ago. There's a fingering weight version too. This is the worsted version. And I am making I don't know yet. Which version. You can see and there's a whole coloring book pages given with this too. So Aimee provides a lot of resources for this. I love Aimee patterns. They do the really great schematics, a lot of options. This has 2 main views. So view A, I think, is where you do a contrast color on your the tips kind of. So on your cast on the first rows, on your bind off the last rows, and on your cuffs. And then the rest is just one color. That's like view A. Then view B is, and that's got tapered sleeves and otherwise pretty much the same. I think full length body. View B is a cropped length body with wider sleeves. I think there's maybe no decreases, and then they're like 3/4-ish, and then you do a bind off there with wide bands of stripes. Okay, so you can see that, like, that's probably the picture I'll put up as that I have up now or have already had up. That's the picture. But there's a lot of pictures for this. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do as far as striping goes. Mostly because I don't have a ton of yarn for this. I am doing a size 4, which is a 47-inch. I've decided even Raglans, I don't love to have a ton of extra room in the upper body. So even though this does say, and I like the ease that a lot of the testers have and a lot of the people that has 5 inches of ease. And this is recommended to have 5 to 10 inches of ease. So if I did somewhere between 5 and 10 inches, I would either do a size 5 or 6, which is 51 or 55 inches. I don't think I'd ever wear a raglan with 55 inches. To me, that sounds crazy and would be like so weird and baggy in the underarms. So even 51 inches, like for a drop shoulder, that's one thing because your underarm sits further away from, you know, where the drop is further away. So your underarm just is lower. Raglans, you know, that curve sits sort of in your underarm. I don't know. That seems odd to me. This doesn't really have compound shaping either. I don't think it's like mostly just straight raglan shaping. So I decided on the 47 inches because even though that's like 4 inches of ease still in my upper bust. So I feel like that's fine. And then I may do a couple extra cast on stitches to have a little bit of more room at the full bust. Underarm cast on stitches. But maybe not. I have not really decided. I'm going to look at the schematic for the arm sizes too, because that will make that decision for me. The thing I'm really undecided on is I think this might have to be cropped because of the amount of yarn I have. And I might think it might have to be 3/4 sleeves, but do I want a tapered 3/4 or semi-tapered 3/4? Is that going to be weird? Do I want the wide one? On some of the pictures, just of people, the wide one looks like kind of odd, the wide sleeve. On Aimee, it looks great, but also those pictures are like, you know, not pictures of you in your house or whatever people take pictures as, and that feels like a more realistic, like this is how I wear it, me in my house, and with less whimsy. I don't know, maybe I don't like it, maybe I just didn't like, I don't know, maybe it's so hard because when certain things like colors may be off-putting or other things too, you're like, oh, I just don't think I like that version. It's maybe just the colors, it's not have anything to do with fit or whatever. So we'll see how it goes. I definitely want to do the wider bands of stripes though, and I have to because I have only 3 skeins of this main color, which is called Mint. And this is a Crux Fibers worsted yarn. I got this. This is actually the very first yarn I ever bought from Erin at Backloop Yarn and Fiber, which by the way, I'm very sad to tell you that she is no longer with me dyeing yarn to order. She still has some discounted skeins to get rid of her inventory that you can order any color you want from her past and probably even work with her for a custom color. And she has some fiber. And she's like, she sold a lot of it, and I actually did not purchase any yet, and I may, but I did just purchase from her in January, and I feel a little bit full for yarn, and I don't necessarily just want to add, but I wish her the best. She is still going to dye for a local yarn store, so I hope, like, if circumstances allow her, she can pick it back up in the future if she wants, but she does have a full-time job, so it's not like this was her livelihood, but it's probably a great side hustle. Anyway, so this is clean worsted. It is 100% superwash merino. It's 218 yards for 100 grams. Anyway, she got this for a shawl, I'm pretty sure, and then decided not to do it. And I saw them not together listed on her Instagram. That's where she was destashing when I first ordered from her. And I asked her, I was like, do they go well together? And she sent me a picture. She's like, yeah, I got them to go together for a shawl, but decided I didn't want to do that anymore. And so I knew I wanted to use them together when I got them. So this color is just a contrast color. It's called Yukon Spring. It's got quite a lot more yellow in it once I really skeined it up than I thought it did, but I'm okay with it. It's like a acidy green yellow. I'm okay with that. And then the other one's called Mint. And together, they're like really gorgeous. It's going to be slightly low contrast stripes, but because this has a lot of it's pretty variegated once it starts going. So I'm not in doubt that it will look like a stripe. So but I only have this much left of the first ball. So I don't even think I'll get through all of the Raglan before I get to the second ball. So I'm going to do stripes in the body. I think that's still enough. It just may not be enough for long sleeves. So, I'll do what I can. And if I have to do, like, I'll probably do part of the body and then do the sleeves and then finish the body. And if I have to do like the bind off in the contrast color, like, I don't know, I might have a lot of balls of yarn connected at some point and I'm okay with that. As you know, I fear no having many balls of yarn connected to one project. But yeah, so I'm like halfway through the Raglan increases right now, and there's short row shaping in this. I actually decided to do one swap in the pattern. The short row shaping was just German short rows, which is fine. And I decided to just swap them out because I hadn't practiced Japanese short rows in a while. And so I did Japanese short rows, and gosh, they're just so seamless. You cannot see them. They are gorgeous. Like, obviously you can see the slope there, but like you really just can't see any part of that double stitch just because it sits behind. I think that's like so nice. I'm going to do more on this tonight to try to get myself to a place where I don't have very many Raglan increases left. And we also are not leaving until lunchtime tomorrow, so I may get some more done in the morning, though I do have to like do some laundry and probably pack us in the morning. But yeah, it is also a twisted rib. I did a lot of twisted rib this past week. And the neckline I think will be okay. Some people's it looks too wide, but also doing the size 4 I think will be good. I will also not stretch the twisted rib at all while I block because I want it to be quite cinched in. And there we have it. My newest cast on, the coloring book Raglan. And we'll just see how that evolves. I don't have as much of a plan as I would typically probably have, because I just am going to let the yarn guide me on this one. Yeah, so let's do a very baby recap. I'm going to try to finish or nearly finish the checker plate this coming week. I will probably not do much book club. I will try to get done all of the yarn I have for the flower child, and potentially beg the yarn from someone else next week and finish it. I don't know. We'll see. Definitely at least get done what I have in the skein, and then do quite a lot of work on that coloring book. That coloring book will also be a fun one to have. Because the stripes are pretty wide, like I'll be able to knit that like while hanging out with my friends, because they know that I like to knit and they are okay with me having a conversation and knitting with them. Now, let's go on to, and then maybe the sock cast on. I should have the sock cast on by next week. And then maybe I will get my sea glass cast on as well next week, at least like starting the yoke. I think that's gonna be a bit of a slow burn. Maybe I'll get really jazzed about it. Color work is so fun for me, so unclear how that will go. Let's talk about books. Okay, I think this is true. I only read 2 books this week. I am in the middle of a bunch of other things. So I'm actually let's talk about what I'm in the middle of first. No, let's talk about what I finished first. And then I do want to tell you what I'm in the middle of, which I don't do all the time, but I've got things to share. So first, I read with my eyeballs a book called The Legacy. And this only took me about 2 weeks, you guys. This was very fast for an eyeball read for me. But this is called The Legacy. It's Off Campus number 5 from Elle Kennedy. I read 1 through 4 a while ago, like a long time ago. And then I decided I kind of needed a break from those. And I went back just this week because I needed a fluffy, fun read. So this follows, there are 4 books in the series other than this one, right? And that's how numbers work, 1 through 4, then 5. It revisits each of the couples, not in order that you read about them. That's not even reverse order. It's just like a random order of them. And it's like 3 years later, something like that. So you're kind of getting a glimpse into the after, and it was kind of a nice dip into like the happily ever after, and like how sometimes there's struggles that they don't anticipate like later in life. Obviously these kids get together in college. This is like the hockey college romance series, and this is the first generation. So the second generation is I think the third book just came out, and so that's on my TBR. But because I put that on my TBR, I was like, ah, yes, let me revisit and finish out that. I already know what's gonna happen with all of those couples because they appear in the second generation, at least like they're talked about in the second generation books. But that was fun. It was a fun little revisit, nice and kind of fluffy, but also like there was a little bit of like trials and tribulations of like real life, not the falling in love part, but the like growing together part. And I think that's like such a real part of relationships, especially when you know, get together in college, because there's a lot of growing up to do after college. You are not a grown up when you finish college, like at all. Okay. The second book I read is something I listened to called A Torch Against the Night. It is An Ember in the Ashes, book 2 by Sabaa Tahir. It is so excellent. I was waiting because we have our little book club. Me, Jess, and Katie are in a book club from our knit night. Not that other people in our knit night don't read, but like no one wanted to read this book with, no one else, I think, wanted to read this book with us. So this series. So I read it and I was like, you guys want to read this? So I want someone to talk about it with. So we got together a couple months after I read the first one, they read it. And then now we picked a date for this second one, and I just wanted it to be fresh. So I waited until the last minute. We're meeting tonight. So I finished it just the other day. It was so good. You go back into the empire, where the scholars are slaves, the marshals are like the ruling class, and a new emperor has just been chosen, and everything's crazy. You pick up with Elias and Laia. I don't want to give too much away because I don't want to give too much away in the series. But anyway, you pick up with the two of them trying to complete a mission, and a lot of things go wrong on the way. And they both do a lot of growing up on the way also. And you get introduced to like extra parts of sort of what's the magical behind the scenes in this. And there is magic in the first one. It's not a heavily prevalent part. Like there's basically like fae and other kinds of fae you've heard about. And this does have more like Arabic influences. So like they talk a little bit more about like jinn and ifrits, which is part of like the otherworldly type beings that you get in mythology from that area. And same with like in the Davabad trilogy, those are both the two main of the you know, mystical beings they talk about. So they appear, and they definitely appear in the first one, but you get some more information about the history of them and other things. And so it was kind of interesting to have that expansion of the world. You get introduced to more baddies. You get a lot. I think I don't even know. I want to talk about it with my group. So I'm not going to talk about much more, but it was really, really great read. I'm excited for the rest of the series. It gives you not even like the most cliffhanger of things that you end on. But you know that there's so much more for them to do, and for like the changes coming to the empire and to this group of people. So I'm excited for book 3. Okay, let's talk about what I'm reading this week. So I picked up another book because I always have something on my Kindle, even though it's generally been over the last year. It's been a really, really slow for me to read, but I have been trying to. I've got like a little stand and stuff that I can sit on the couch with me, so I can read and knit when projects allow. And so I have been having more books on my Kindle. Anyway, I got Deep End from Ali Hazelwood, which is a STEM book, but also like a student athletes book. That's one of her newer releases. And I've been hearing a lot of things about this, and I was actually talking about, I think Claire said she read it. Anyway, I was like talking about it, or maybe Coley did. Anyway, we talked about it this weekend, and I was like, yeah, I got the digital version, like the ebook from the library, and I typically would just wait for it because I put that on hold, and because it was a way less waiting time. The audiobook version still has like, oh, sorry, the dog is laying in my office today, and she's dreaming next to the tripod and keeps flinching. So sorry if I'm shaking. But the the audiobook has like a really, really like another 15 weeks or something for me to wait for it. And I was like, you know what? I can't wait. I need a book. I'll read this. As always, I have thoughts and feelings about her portrayal of her female leads. This one, I actually think less than. I think that Scarlett is struggling through something. She doesn't just like make dumb decisions. And she's also making some really informed and great decisions for her herself. The main guy character, whew, this is a steamy one. Okay, so I'm like only 30 or 40% through, and it is quite steamy. And is a slightly deviation on like topics that she normally covers. But she writes a really steamy scene. So just FYI for that. But I'm really enjoying it, so I will let you know how I feel about the end of it. I am also reading my tandem read for Throne of Glass, and I am almost exactly halfway done. And I've got to tell you this, so I'm reading, for those of you who are not aware of what's going on here, I am rereading Throne of Glass, and we're going to reread all of Sarah J. Maas this year, starting with this series, because I did not read them in a logical order when I first started. I would never recommend the order that I did read them in to somebody, because, but I already like really knew that I really loved romantic books. At the time I read them, so it was, yeah. And I'm okay with a complicated story, but I did start Crescent City, just the first one, and then I read all of ACOTAR, and then I read Throne of Glass, and that's the wrong order to do it. So I decided to go back and really reread them. So I did the prequels, and then I wanted to do it in chronological order, not publishing order. So chronologically, the prequels, and then I did 1 to 4. And then you can read 5 and 6 together, because they do happen on the same timeline, but in 2 different places. And some people really don't like 6 because you leave a big cliffhanger in 5, and then you don't know what happens until 7, because you don't at all revisit those characters. And I gotta tell you, I liked Tower of Dawn. So it's Empire of Storms is 5, and 6 is Tower of Dawn. And I really, really liked Tower of Dawn when I was first reading it. Arguably my favorite book of the series. And that's a controversial opinion, but Jess said the same thing when we were talking about it this weekend. So I'm not the only one, but doing a tandem read is really fun. So you're getting these pieces that's like, oh, these characters are doing this, and then like someone thinks like, I wonder how so-and-so is doing, and then you go to that character and you're doing whatever, and then they kind of do the same, not all the time by any means, that's not like the trigger for it, but it happens sometimes. Or like specifically Kale in Tower of Dawn hears information about what's happening, and you either have just read that part or you go to what's happening so that that you know, and it's very fun that way. It does break up the story a little bit, so I don't know that I would tell people to do that the first time they read through. Maybe I think Katie did it the first time she read through. She did the tandem read and really liked it. I do think it's a long time in the other, like outside of the regular realm of everything that's happening 1 to 5. 6 is a departure. 7 goes back to everybody, but that's when everybody comes together. And they do it she does it for a reason, but like the tandem read is a fun thing. So I'm having a great time, and about halfway through both books. Which it means a lot of things are happening, because these definitely have much faster pace than like the first 2. You're not waiting to the end to everything happen. There's like a bunch of stuff that happens. Bad things for everybody kind of all throughout the books. So then, and also I do think Tower of Dawn is a little bit more uplifting than Empire of Storms. So I do think that breakup is also nice, just in mood. Yeah, I don't have much else to share other than, yes, I won't be here this weekend. So I'm hoping that I get this edited before I leave. It's gonna be a quick cut here, because I am doing book club tonight, and then we are leaving tomorrow midday. So I'm likely going to be up too late editing, but thank you for hanging out with me. I would love to know. Oh, and I will say, I did not get to meet up. We didn't have night this week, so I did not get to meet up with Ariel and Emily to talk more about our knit along, but I will meet with them. I will chat with them for sure this coming week. And next week, I will give you all the details. Maybe we'll have a post on Instagram. Maybe we'll do some stuff. Who knows? We'll talk about it. But what I do want to say is, okay, so that news is coming. I am really excited to do all of these springy type knits, even though, yes, I'm working on a worsted weight sweater. If it's 3/4 sleeves though, it's a kind of a transitional season sweater then. And yeah, I'm really excited. Also the colors. I did scan up all the yarn for my mom's summer sorrel, so that still may get cast on soon as well. And I'm just really excited to have progress on some of these projects that have been in my brain for a long time. So yeah, it's a great time to be crafting. Please share with me what you're making. I'm like excited for everybody's summer projects, or like the morph into like the last you know, gasp of the winter projects that you want to get done. I want to know what those are. And then also like, what's your first like spring or summer cast on that you're doing? Some people have definitely already, I've, you know, read in the comments, phased into. So that's really exciting. As you know, I like to stalk people on Ravelry a little bit. So if you're not my Ravelry friend, please go friend me there. You can find me on Instagram. I am always available for questions and DMs. Don't like, I'm a nice normal person. You can chat with me. I will chat back with you. But if you're not comfortable leaving comments below, but I want to know what you're making. So please let me know that. Thank you so much for joining. Look out for the knit along, pre-flock knit along information to come next week. If you have questions or other things, let me know. I'm so excited to continue sharing that with you, and I can't wait for another knit along. It was really fun last year. Lots of activity, and I think this one will have a lot of freedom too. So yeah, really excited. I hope that you had fun hanging out with me and you got some really good knitting done. I will talk with y'all next week.